Hello, and welcome to today's review of the Transformers Takara Legends Astrotrain. This is a Takara Tomy release from 2017, January to be specific. He had originally retailed for about $33 on HobbyLink Japan, and now he sells for a fair bit more. However, unlike the Astrotrain that Hasbro released using this Titan's Return mod, this uses the animation colours and not the, the G1 toy colours. So instead of being kind of the whitish grey like the other one was, this one is dark grey, right? With all the purple accents and stuff, which the Hasbro, I don't remember quite what that one looks like, but I think it has some purple. Generally, right, he's a very nice looking robot across the board, Beautiful sculpt. He's less chunky than the Earthrise figure I previously reviewed, but I definitely like both. And on the plus side, this guy's legs are filled out. And the feet here are a bit ugly from the back due to how he transforms, but it's neither here nor there, It's the cost of having a really cool step. And paint details are absolutely splendid on this guy. It's just like really cool stuff, You've got paint on the shoulder pads, the turrets on the side of the arms, these knee sections on the inside of the legs here. Like I said, it's all filled out, but that is beautiful stuff. Toes have paint on them as well. You've got paint detailing for the yellow lights on the train head, or train front, whatever. I don't know why I called it a head. But yeah, all the purple on the feet is painted as well. Then you've got the purple on the lower calf section, then red and purple on the abs, all of the face. It's generally just really brilliant stuff. Like there's paint all over this guy, and I'm all for it, man. Like just keep giving me painted Transformers, and generally, it's brilliant stuff. Basically, right? The TLDR is there's lots of paint here. So with that out of the way, let's just move on to looking at his articulation. Actually, we're going to look at the headmaster first. That way I don't have to put that in later. And then we'll move on to articulation. So for a quick look at the headmaster unit on this guy, just got to pop him out there. Very much like all of the other headmasters. Fold him open. There's not an awful lot of paint on this one. The chest is sculpted in grey. The legs kind of bend and all that jazz like everyone else's. And there's some nice paint detailing on the back, Generally, the mould stays the same for a lot of the headmasters, with some minor changes, and then the faceplate on the back changes. But he's got a head painted similarly to Astrotrain with a silver face, red eyes, yellow head crest. And it's generally cool stuff. There was even grey paint on the legs, which is, perfectly welcome. So, with that out of the way, now for the articulation. So, for the articulation on this guy, shoulders are going to go up like so, but they're actually going to spin at a 360. They go out at a 90, which is pretty standard stuff, but it's good. It's more than welcome. Alright, let's just remove the gun, make this easier. So, bicep swivel goes all the way around, and due to the way it's engineered, you've got enough clearance in the shoulder pad to turn it there as well. The elbows, now I thought these were originally going to pull a 90, they actually go a bit further, which is very welcome. Definitely better than the average. So yeah, then onto the head, like every headmaster, you kind of just swivel it around all the way. You get a little bit of up, a little bit of down, left and right, it's a very solid stuff. Yeah, that's enough, And all of the Voyagers had some sort of a pop-up thing on the abdomen where you push it and then these little bits that come out by the head. I don't really see what purpose they serve, but whatever. So anyway, as for the legs, so they're going to kick up at a 90, which is welcome. They're going to kick back at a 90, which is also welcome. They're going to do a beautiful spread. Shout out Jobby. Then we're going to go all the way around at the thigh swivel, which is standard stuff, but I've experienced figures that aren't as fluid. The thighs were really tight on this guy too. So after you kick the load up, we have a 90 at the knee, which is solid stuff. And if you really want to get technical, he does have a toe bend as well, which, do we count it or not? Seeing as you don't have to untransform him for it, technically it counts, but it's not really practical. regardless of practicalities or whatever. Articulation's, you know, solid stuff. So we're just going to move on to our bot mode size comparison. So for the bot mode size comparison, Blitzwing, Titans Return Megs, Repugnus, Ralph, Steve. Man, solid stuff, you know. I'm not going to really harken on it too much, but, you know, he looks fine with the guys that you'd normally see him with. Repugnus is just here so I could show him off with a deluxe figure. And, you know, it's cool, you know. I definitely miss when Voyager class figures were consistently big, like the 3 Voyagers in this photo. By the way, the Blitzwing is thrilling 30. I missed that when I did the initial thing, but yeah, it's cool. You know, I miss when Voyagers were consistently big. It definitely helps kind of the difference between size classes stand out, you know, and I miss it. Minifigures, though, look generally good. All of these look generally good together. So yeah, let's just move on to the transformation into Shuttle Mode. So for the Shuttle Mode, you know, he's a good old grey and purple. Generally some nice paint detailing as well, and the shape is solid, you know. It definitely looks like a spacecraft, even from the bottom when you see a guy lying down with some parts arranged. It's whatever, you know. The resulting mode, regardless of how he transforms, is perfectly fine. Gun plugs into that little port over there, which is also perfectly fine. Not my preferred look, because it seems a bit out of place, you know. Most transformer weapon storage is a bit silly, but whatever. And I'm definitely not one for the tune accuracy complaints. Even if Astrotrain's Shuttle Mode in G1 did not look quite like this, I miss having toys that actually felt unique and weren't trying to be accurate to a fault, because generally I think that's really hard at the mainline scale when it comes to actually giving us a good resulting figure as well, you know, in terms of articulation and all that jazz. We've also got a tower section for the Headmaster. Every deluxe class and higher in the Titans Return or Legends line that had the Headmasters could kind of house them in the vehicle modes. And there's no size comparisons for the alt mode because they don't really scale, blah blah blah. So moving on to train mode. Man, first thoughts on this train mode. These are very long, you know, beautifully painted. The transformation is very intuitive, with panels on the legs folding out to provide us with the extra wheels, which are decked out in purple here. And the figure splitting in half for this mode is absolutely brilliant. Paint detailing across the board is also brilliant. You've got purples, you know, a lot of purple on the sides. The grey wing sections. through to the painted windows on the train, you know, all things we've briefly mentioned before earlier in this review and whatnot. But I absolutely love the paint, you know, and I absolutely love how the wing sections are on a also rolling wheels, right? Before we talk about the wings, he folds in half and everything, but the wheels, like the wheel singular, right? They put in the bottom of the abdomen, kind of reveals itself when you transform him and split him in half. You know, it's generally really cool stuff. And about the wings, I really enjoy the way that the hinge on the wings is asymmetrical, so it's only on the one side. And due to the fact it's like that and it's on a swivel, it means you can centralize the wings to fold over into the tabs that are on the fronts and backs of the chest. And it's just absolutely wonderful. You know, I can't glaze over this mode enough. And it's just absolutely brilliant. You know, the problem with this train mode that a lot of people kind of have, at least the people that I have seen kind of express their opinions on this, besides a lot of people not liking it just generally because it's, I guess, a weird train mode, I think it's a very unique transformation for a transformer to have. You know, it's very freight trainy. But yeah, it's mostly he's not G1, right? Technically, kind of. He's not accurate. And though I said no size comparison, I thought it was very important to just show him next to another vehicle, just to show really there is no scale here. He's just big, that's it. But he's very cool regardless. So, for my final thoughts. Man, final thoughts on this guy. He's just brilliant, you know, and it's almost across the board. The articulation really lets him down, but even for the time period, it was just above average, or maybe solid, you know, hence the 6. And aesthetics on this guy are a 10 out of 10, you know, it's absolutely amazing. I don't give a damn about turn accuracy if the resulting figure is going to be this good. Otherwise, you know, there is a certain way certain things should look, right? You know, you expect your G1 Ironhide to be red. You want your G1 Prime to be red, white, and blue and have some semblance of a flatline cap mode or whatever, you know. But sometimes it doesn't really matter how accurate something is as long as the end result is actually good. In this case, I really like the train mode, you know, and you got the shuttle mode, which is very solid as well. So aesthetics, 10. Transformation, 10 as well. I love the processes and the end results for both modes. It's just a wonder, you know. Well, I miss sitting down with a transformer and really having fun with it. I don't get that out of any of the modern figures I've handled. The engineering has just gotten to a point where there's either QC issues getting in the way of things, unnecessarily fidgety steps, or vehicles that just don't hold together well. This figure, on the contrary, is just chef's kiss. Articulation on this guy, it's a 6 out of 10. You know, it's solid for the time period. Nothing else. There's no real gripes, you know, to be had. And I forgot to mention this before, but the reason he doesn't have a waist is because he splits himself in half. So, whatever. And finally, value for money, you know. If his articulation was high, the value for money would be higher, but as it stands, it's an 8 out of 10. It's definitely fine, you know. I think this is good. That's what I'd go as far as to say on the value scale, you know. It's 3 modes, all solid, you know, and you could definitely have fun with it, you know. And overall, that leaves his ranking at a 9. He's a bloody awesome figure, and in my opinion, far better than the Earthrise. Now, it mostly comes down to the fact that both of them have pretty average articulation for both of their respective time periods. And just by comparison on certain things, this figure just feels more worth the money, you know. He's not the £50 price point that the Earthrise ended up being, and that resulted in a half-assed train mode. A half-assed shuttle mode, you know, where it kind of became anemic at one point between the front and the whole back end of the vehicle. There's that really thin section. Transformation for that is just a tiny bit fidgety as well. But it didn't feel like a waste of money. Basically, this figure feels worth the money. That other figure felt like a bit of waste at 50 quid, right? purely for the fact that there were little gripes with the legs, the articulation was mid as hell, and the alt modes were just kind of whatever, you know? So this has been AnimatedCHUG. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.